All right, this is going to be a little small cabinet. Humidor is going to go inside of a kind of a man cave. He's going to have his liquor room in here as well. And I'm building this humidor to go on top of his liquor cabinet. And what I'm doing here is I'm laying out for where the dominoes are going to go. And what I'm doing, since this humidor is as small as it is, I'm using 1/2 inch plywood here, and then the inside will have the about 1/4 inch of the Spanish cedar. So that's going to make this basically 3/4 inches thick. And I'm going to be using POPLAR for the hardwood. It is going to be painted black. And here I'm just dry fitting the carcass to make sure everything's going to go together just right. And these are going to be for the top and bottom of the carcass. So once again, putting dominoes in there. And I'm using that piece of wood on the clamp to the back of this just to give me a little extra leverage for the, or a little better balance for the domino. Now I'm over on the bandsaw and I'm resawing some Spanish cedar to that 1/4 inch thickness. And I'm going to glue the Spanish cedar into the inside of the carcass. Because once again, all my humidors that I make, they're all got the Spanish cedar veneered on the inside. Usually 3/16 to 1/4 inches is how much of a veneer that I use. And gluing those in place. And putting some stuff in there just to weight it down. And before I glue the carcass together, I glued all the Spanish cedar on the inside, just so that I didn't have to worry about doing the rabbets and everything onto the on the carcass. Just made everything fit a little bit easier. And now that I've got all that done, I'm going to go ahead and glue up the carcass. And see, as you can see right there, basically I've got the rabbits. Since I did it the way I did it, the rabbits are basically already there. And putting the dominoes in. And gonna clamp it up. And now I'm going to glue the back part of the carcass. Put the dominoes in. Put a little extra glue on the back there, clamp it all down, and let it dry. And of course now I'm going to unclamp everything. And now we're on the table saw. I'm cutting some of this 1/2 inch plywood down, making sure it's nice and square. And this is going to be like an extra piece I put on the top. Doesn't really serve a purpose, just more or less to give it a, I guess you could say just a extra decoration, extra look. Those same pieces are also used for the bottom, the extra piece that I put on the bottom of the carcass, which is going to be the drawer for where the customer wanted the accessories to go. And I was cutting miters on that. And I'm just taking measurements for these to go to fit around that piece of plywood. And here I'm going to glue it up. Not too worried about the wood movement here because I am gluing it on the plywood. Using my little spring clamps to make sure those miters glue together really well. And this is going to be the top piece I was talking about. It's like I said, it's more just to give the carcass a little better look. It's more decorative. It doesn't really serve a purpose. And these little spacers I'm putting in there is so when I glue the other piece of 1/2-inch plywood into this, it's gonna fit flush. So it's just use them as a spacer. And it gives me some extra glue surface as well. And this is how it looks. Those two pieces fitted on the bottom and top of the carcass. Okay, now I'm cutting down the hardwood, the poplar. And I'm going to use this to trim out the carcass. Beginning to glue on the trim on here. And once that is on there, I go ahead and give these roundovers to the wood. And to me, just giving it a roundover, taking the edges off, just makes it flow a little bit better. A little more easier on the eyes. And here I'm just sanding, kind of getting any glue or anything off before I do the roundover, just to make sure it's all even. And here I am laminating some more of the Spanish cedar veneer onto some pieces of plywood. I'm going to sandwich it in between. This is going to be the separating shelf between the humidor section where the cigars go and the drawer where the humidifier is going to go. 1/4 inch on both sides of Spanish cedar veneer, sandwiched between the 1/2 inch. So that's giving me, for this shelf inside, there's going to be about 1 inch. And here I'm just using my router to put some dados into the carcass so that separating shelf will slide into these. And here's that shelf here. I'm putting the vent hose in there. I just go a little at a time, probably about 1/8 of an inch each time until I'm all the way through. And there you can get a chance to see how the vent hose look. And just gonna get that in there and glued in place. Here I'm putting the face frame on the carcass. Clamp it up. Not worried about the burn marks right there because there again, there's going to be another piece that's going to go on there and it'll hide that. And putting a strip of Spanish cedar on here to hide those plies so those can't be seen. Makes it appear as if this is a full sheet of Spanish cedar. And here I'm making the door, and I'm using dominoes to construct the door, and I used a double loose tenon. I'm just going to dry fit it together, make sure it's going to fit nice and clean before I glue it up. And it does. So now I'm going to glue it up. Here I'm just putting those squares in there just so I can make sure it does glue up square. And this is the front of the bottom drawer for where the accessories go, and I'm gonna do a sliding dovetail on this, but what I'm doing first is I'm hogging most of it out with the dado, 1/4 inch dado stack. It makes it easier to run through the dovetail bit, because you can't just take a little off at a time. You've got to have it at full height or it just won't work. And I'm putting the drawer slides in on the bottom here. Make sure it's nice and smooth. All right, I printed up some of these router guides for making the corners, and off of my bamboo printer, and it's going to be the bottom of that drawer. I did routed out a rabbet at the bottom so that drawer would fit inside there. And for the drawer that is going to have the humidifier on the inside, I did dovetails, and I went in and just made through dovetails on all four, or on the front and the back. I hadn't done half blind dovetails in a while, so my confidence level wasn't there, so I just went ahead and did through dovetails. Shouldn't have been a problem, but just went ahead and did it like this. So here I misunderstood the customer, and what I'm doing is I'm making the cigar baskets like I normally do, but the customer did not want cigar baskets. He wanted to have the cigars be displayed, so you could actually see the cigars as they were in there. So I'll save these baskets for another build. And since I built it for these baskets, I kind of had to retrofit the inside, create some you'll see here in a second, I made some made it look like solid shelves on the inside, and really came out really nice, considering that I didn't build it for that. But I thought it looked really good as I formed it out. Here I'm still working on those baskets, and I plugged that hole up right there. And it's about this time though that I contacted the customer, and he told me that he did not want those baskets in there. So you'll see in a moment as I start to retrofit it. This is that drawer that I did the dovetails on. I'm just putting a little drawer pull that I made out of a piece of Spanish cedar. And here's where I'm retrofitting. So where I was going to use those little side rails there, I ended up being able to place a front piece of Spanish cedar on there to hide it. And now I'm gluing the slats in. There again, there'll be a 1/2 inch space between the slats. Kind of hard to see from this angle. It's hard to get a camera inside such a small space. But you can see I'm using a 1/2 inch spacer to place the slats. And now this is that bottom portion of the humidor, the drawer for the accessories. I'm placing the rubber feet on there. And the blue tape there, that was just for to tape stuff off so that what I didn't want to be painted black didn't get painted black. And I spoke to the customer about flocking the inside of the accessory drawer, so he wanted it flocked black. So here I'm putting the adhesive inside, and I've got it taped off. The tape did a fairly good job. Some of that black adhesive paint did kind of bleed underneath it. It's really hard to keep it from doing that, but did the best that I could. And here I'm just putting the black flocking over the black adhesive. And I always put way more than I need, because what's going to stick is going to stick, and what don't stick, you can reuse it later. Just dump it back in the bag. And I like to use it to shake it around, just so I get full, even coverage. And now I'm going back and taking that tape off. And as you'll see some of the bleed through. Like I said, it's not perfect, but still came out really nice. Here I'm marking for the hinges. Marking the depth right there. And then I'm going to take my chisel and start chiseling those little pieces out. That's probably about a little over, maybe 3/16 of an inch. No, I'm sorry, about 3/32 of an inch is about how much I cut out for the hinges, just so it would almost be a flush fit. Putting the screws in to the hinges and placing the door on, so I can make sure everything's gonna be fitting nice before I paint the door. This is for a magnetic latch that I'm putting on there. And what I did is I had that screw sitting inside there just so I could, that's how I got the mark, so I knew where to drill this hole for this magnet part right here. And as you see, boom, fits perfect. And I'm putting a rabbet on the back side of the door. This is where the glass will get placed into. And this is one of those kind of desktop charger things that I put on all the cabinet humidors. So you're able to plug the humidifier in from the inside. And then this cord will plug into the wall. And I lost a lot of footage at the very end, so I'm putting one of the drawer pulls on, and this is about all I got, but you can see the pictures here at the end. Let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching.